Hello, my name is Jayman, and I'm presenting this talk, Children's Mental Health is Everyone's Business, Making Sense of Roles, Responsibilities and Boundaries for Schools. This is on behalf of the BERA Mental Health, Wellbeing and Education SIG. I am one of the conveners alongside Jonathan Glazzard and Anthea Rose. In this presentation, I will start by giving a brief introduction to children's mental health and wellbeing and the pivotal role of schools. This is, of course, closely linked to staff wellbeing, which is an increasing area of concern. This topic gives rise to a number of questions regarding the responsibilities and boundaries and how to ensure schools develop whole school approaches for mental health and wellbeing that provide support for the whole school community and foster an ethos of self-care for all. The latest figures indicate that 11.2% of children and young people in England have a clinically diagnosable mental health disorder. While behavioural difficulties have stayed quite stable over the last 10 years, emotional difficulties have become more common in 5 to 15-year-olds. This is only part of the problem, as no accurate data on the number of children with pre-diagnosable lower-level needs is available. Some estimates suggest as many as 20% of adolescents experience a mental health problem in any given year. The latest annual survey by the Children's Society, the Good Childhood Report, which measures children's subjective well-being, suggests children's happiness is in decline. Equally alarming is the revelation that many children and young people are not receiving timely and appropriate support. The Children's Commissioner for England called for greater attention on preventative approaches and early intervention, so-called low-level mental health support, in a report published last year. This vision is incorporated in the government's 2017 Green Paper, where the pivotal role of schools in promoting and supporting mental health is highlighted. There remains, of course, much to be done to realise this vision. There are many good reasons to pinpoint schools as the ideal setting for supporting children's mental health. The majority of children attend school and spend a significant amount of time there. Teachers and school staff who know pupils well should be able to recognise when a child might be experiencing difficulties. Early support can prevent more serious issues arising and reduce the need for more specialist intervention from CAMHS. Having a proactive, supportive, school-wide approach to mental health benefits the whole school community, pupils, staff and families. The new Relationships in Health curriculum from September 2020 places statutory responsibility on state-funded schools to promote wellbeing and mental health, reduce stigma and provide appropriate support for pupils experiencing difficulties. However, research suggests staff in schools are feeling overwhelmed and ill-prepared for bearing these increased responsibilities, and there are growing concerns over staff's own wellbeing and mental health. To put some perspective on the issue of staff wellbeing, we can consider some of the latest research findings. For example, teaching staff and educational professionals report the highest rates of work-related stress, depression and anxiety in Britain. 49% of all education professionals considered their organisational culture had a negative effect on their mental health and well-being, and 78% of all education professionals have experienced behavioural, psychological or physical symptoms due to their work. International comparisons are not favourable. 52% of teachers in England wonder whether they should have chosen another profession, compared with 34% of teachers in other countries. 71% of education professionals cited workload as the main reason for considering leaving their jobs. Perhaps most poignant are staff's own voices.
teacher, social worker, diplomat, actor, data inputter. Eat, sleep, teach, repeat. All rolls into one. I've been teaching for 20 years. Oh, there've never been so many balls to juggle, as many pieces of paper, as many targets. I haven't slept properly in several years, as my mind ticks over the next day. The to-do list, the staff room cliques, the parent who complains, the head who wants more, the marking I'm behind on. My confidence nosedived, to the point of being unable to be out in public. I had panic attacks and trouble breathing. My turning point was a mental breakdown and 6 months off. I've been on antidepressants since it happened, and I'm in no hurry to come off them. At the very worst, I wanted to crash my car and become so injured that I could get off the work treadmill. I could literally feel myself drowning. I couldn't express it. I couldn't tell anyone. I felt ashamed.
Greenfield's model of teacher resilience identifies 3 key aspects: beliefs, which are hopes, sense of purpose and self-efficacy; relationships, support from colleagues, strong and supportive leadership, support from family and friends, student-teacher relationships; and actions, problem solving, reflection and reframing, professional development and staff relief. These are, of course, important aspects, but we must be careful that notions of resilience do not place the burden on individuals. All of these aspects, of course, are inextricably tied to school culture and whole school approaches to wellbeing and mental health, and we know that there are current tensions. 60% of education professionals would not feel confident in disclosing unmanageable stress or mental health issues to their employer, and 49% of education professionals felt compelled to come to work all of the time when they are feeling unwell. So what does a whole school approach look like? Firstly, realistic expectations on staff should be made explicit and agreed in order to implement a clear and consistent approach. Fundamentally, school staff are not mental health experts, and their role should not be conflated with specialists in this field. School staff know their pupils well, and imperative to preventative approaches is the ability to identify children at risk or with early signs of distress promptly. Crucial to an effective whole school approach is having clear systems and processes in place, so staff know what to do and where to go. That means explicit responsibilities and boundaries. There are, of course, a number of challenges with implementing and sustaining whole school approaches. Buy-in from the whole school is essential, and school leaders play an essential role in achieving this. Effective whole school approaches require commitment and consistent effort, and there is the risk of key messages being vague or becoming diluted over time. As well as having clear boundaries for staff to know what is and what is not within their responsibilities for looking after pupil mental health and well-being, staff's own well-being needs to be a priority. Staff well-being policies are an essential component of whole school mental health strategies. These need to be active policies and visibly effective. Howard et al. Offer a starting point for educational professionals to consider what their own whole school approach looks like. This can provide a helpful roadmap in terms of where particular schools are and where they need to get to. To consider our leadership and management commitments, there may be a need to change policies. Partnerships with parents, carers and outside agencies feed in. Curriculum planning and practice to support mental health and wellbeing should be ongoing. Staff's continuous professional development to promote individuals' mental health and wellbeing is essential. The school ethos, culture and environment is key, and feeding in the voice of children and young people is essential. Continued research in all these areas will make a valuable contribution towards better informed and more effective whole school approaches, and will hopefully foster a culture of evidence-led practice. To sum up, schools play a pivotal role in supporting children and young people's wellbeing and mental health, and they will be even more in the spotlight with the introduction of the new Relationships and Health curriculum in September 2020. However, staff's own wellbeing and mental health must be addressed, and immediate steps taken to provide the training and support to enable them to do the role they are tasked with, which is not to be mental health experts. Clear expectations and boundaries need to be established as part of a comprehensive whole school approach to mental health and wellbeing for all, one which embraces the whole school community, pupil, staff and families, and encourages partnerships and networks. Researchers in education and wellbeing and mental health also have an important role to play in helping to ensure evidence-led practice is informed by robust evidence-based research. If you are interested in this area and would like to contact the SICK, please get in touch.